This week's book is Divide Me by Zero by Lara Vapnyar, which I absolutely loved. And I know you haven't read it, so I want to throw some questions at you and just get your reactions cold.
My name is Alina Adams. I was born in Odessa, USSR. I wrote 2 books set in the Soviet Union. My daughter was born in America. I'm going to tell her about the Soviet experience through books.
So what do you think about when I tell you Soviet math?
I have this conscious memory of me maybe in like 2nd grade and not knowing how to long divide, and then sitting on a couch over there and my grandmother sitting down with one piece of paper and a pencil and then teaching me how to long divide
Because the
for like 3 minutes.
The way they were teaching you at school was weird. It was just same
like
way
bunnies.
Remember with percentages, it's the same thing you kept trying to do it the American way. I have a memory of us being on the subway and me going, okay, this is enough. This is how we do percentages. So as you know, in the Soviet Union, math was a very, very holy subject, which is why it's connected to love, this author, and all sorts of other things. And now I'm going to read you a passage from her book, and you tell me what your thoughts are, okay? Kissing like mad, but also talking like mad, talking about anything at all with the intense focus that came to signify love for me. There was another strange thing that I noticed. Since this was the very beginning of the affair, we both tried to impress each other, claiming obscure films and books as our favorite, dropping names of especially dense philosophers, spouting non-stop intellectual insights, but at the same time the process of falling in love made us too vulnerable and overwhelmed to maintain cerebral cool.
Nerds.
What does that paragraph make you think of?
You, it's Debbie.
Oh, really? Does it? That's totally not at all what I was going for. So it's actually funny because when I read these passages to your father, as in I'm sitting there reading and he was right there and I had to shake him and go, listen. And I read this to him and he said to me, why is this woman so obsessed with love? Because that's what she's talking about throughout the book, along with the fact that she thinks she can quantify it with math. And I said, well, you see, her parents were really, really in love. And so in her own life, that's why she keeps looking for the kind of love that she thinks that her parents had, because her dad died when she was relatively young, and she wants to find some academic way of sort of figuring it out, so she turns it into math. And what does that story make you think of?
How much me and my brothers complain about how you and Dad are so, in love and happy and ugh, all that gross stuff.
So do you think, actually, there's this phrase that says, the most important thing you can give your children is a happy marriage. But do you think there are downsides to having a marriage of your parents being so happy, then you wander around looking for the same thing and trying to find a math formula to make it work?
Well, yeah, but both my set of grandparents, married, happy, yay. And that's a really high standard, because y'all are weird, right? So, if you think about this, you're weird, and you were able to get married and be happy, so, why can't we?
So basically, we're inspirational.
Yes.
But what if me being weird and Dad being weird made you guys a different kind of weird?
Oh, what 100% did. What do you mean, if?
Okay. So do you ever have any particular thoughts about the way that you were raised and perhaps made a little weird?
I have moments where I'm just, living my life, and I have, an intense, feeling of deja vu to watching you do it your whole life, and then I go, ah, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm turning into you.
That actually leads me to the question. Look at you, you're sort of academically looking at yourself. Do you think you've been taught in this household of weirdos who do like to turn things into academic concepts? Do you think you see the world that way?
No.
And do you think that this analytical mindset has anything to do with the Soviet background?
I don't know Soviet. I feel like Jewish for surezies.
Why for surezies? Please expand on for surezies.
I just feel like a lot of Jewish culture is being pessimistic. So I think that pessimistic analytical has sprinkled its way into the genetic bloodline somehow.
Well, since you actually mentioned Jewish, so here's another Jewish cliche. In Divide Me by Zero, the character mentions that...
Oh, I get it now. Undefined.
Calculus this year, huh?
AP calculus.
In the book, the character's mother talks about how if there's some children who don't like math or aren't interested in math, that you should turn it into money because they respond much better to that. And that's the joke. I'm very bad at math. In fact, when I told my husband, who has a nuclear engineering degree from MIT, what my math SAT scores were, his exact words were, "Let us never speak of this again." So math is not my strength, but if you put a $sign in front of it, I'm Rain Man. I'm a savant. Suddenly I can figure out the percentage on the fly. So do you think, you're the one who mentioned Jewish. I started with Soviet, you went with Jewish. So speaking of cliches, Jews, money, anything? Anything come to mind?
Nothing. The stereotype is Jews do math, and then this household is the opposite, so I feel like you've really warped my sense of reality.
In everything.
And everything.